Hello everybody and welcome to the Production Journal. This is a brand new series I'm coming up with. It's basically me going over like some of the things I did to make a video, you know, my time out in the field, the gear I use for stuff, and like my tips for everything about it. This is basically about like my style when it comes to shooting weddings. I have done very few weddings. I mean, a few of them like basically have been just stuff I threw together just because I actually did have some video from. So that was me basically making, you know, the two other weddings I've done like basically were just footage I used that I just sort of took like there's my friend Brandon's wedding. I was actually a groomsman in that one, so I wasn't able to really get like any close-ups or anything during the key points of that, and like my battery just like ran out pretty quickly as well as a whole bunch of other stuff for that. But that's out with that. But it was a very good experience just because that was like really like the first wedding I actually had footage from that I actually wanted to like do something with it, and thanks to that I took like about maybe it was like about maybe 45 minutes worth of footage, and I condensed it into like a 10-minute video. It was it wasn't like my finest work, but the end result did pretty much came out just the way I wanted it to, and like my friend Brandon loved it, his wife loved it, so basically it was something me to give to them in addition to being honored as one of his groomsmen in there. And the second wedding I've done was actually a wedding video for my sister, which included a whole bunch of like B-roll from when we were in Greece, because that's where it took place. It took place in Santorini, Greece, which was what the locals call the Hamptons of the Greek Isles, and it's like, you know, just a picturesque. It was like one of the best, most beautiful locations I've ever been to in my life. I mean, I've been to Hawaii, and I honestly can say I would much rather go to Santorini than go back to Hawaii, but I do want to go back to Hawaii eventually. But with this wedding, it was for my two friends, Jen and Jim. It was it was during like the middle of October, and like all the trees were turning. It was just gorgeous. It was like, you know, like the picturesque autumn Halloween wedding. It was like a very nice location. It was just overall just like a very nice location to be in, especially because of all the, you know, just the leaves changing and all that other stuff. And just a couple of tips that I actually do want to say beforehand, before I show you the gear I used during that, is basically when you're out in the field, you just need to make sure, you know, batteries are all charged. Like, you just have to make sure you have like quick accessible to all your gear, because I basically put all my gear in like one location, and I've just brought like a handful of stuff with me. And I'll get to that in just a second, but you know, I had to keep on running back and forth to get other equipment for certain shots, but overall it was a very pleasant experience for me. And like, one of the big things I have to say is talk to your photographer and get to know your photographer, and just, you know, follow their lead and don't get in their way, because you want to make things hard for them, and they won't make things hard for you. I got very lucky because my friend Ed was the photographer for this one, and we've collaborated on like a whole bunch of like other videos in the past, and we know each other's style, so we weren't, you know, bumping heads. We weren't like getting into each other's shot. I had like maybe one or two like shots where I was doing some B-roll, and he just got into the way. But that's, you know, during the actual ceremony, it didn't really matter, because, you know, we were both like, we're able to, you know, predict each other's movements, and if I'm able to do that with any other photographer, that's great. But for this wedding I actually have coming up here in the middle of July, I will kind of be on my own in a way when it comes to that, because I do not know the photographer. I don't really know the location. I didn't really know the location for this one either, but it was still quite the experience to have. And let's go into my gear. I shot using the same camera I'm speaking to right now, and it's a Canon Vixia HF11. It's a very nice small camcorder. I got a secondhand on eBay, so I think that's why some of the problems I have with it, basically like the zoom and wide shots, like the little knob is kind of broken, because I always have to make sure it's like kind of locked in on like a certain part just because it slowly zooms in. I don't really want to spend the money to get it fixed, because I know I'll be replacing this in the near future, hopefully the near future, and I don't think it'll be necessary, because I also have this one, you know, for like these shots indoors like this, and maybe I'll, you know, if I'm doing like maybe back behind the scenes footage, that sort of thing. So it'll be nice to have like this one just as like a backup when I get my new camera. I haven't decided what I do want to get myself a DSLR because I'll be able to really utilize other equipment I got. So first piece of equipment I used during this wedding is this. Like this is pretty much like my favorite piece of equipment I've ever used. It's my Glidecam. This is a Devin Graham Signature Series Glidecam, and as you can see, it's kind of like I don't have any of the weights on the bottom. Like you usually put weights on here to counterbalance the camera on here, but my camera is a little bit on the lighter side. Therefore, I wasn't able to really get it calibrated right, but it still works very well. As you can see right here, this is like I was actually walking backwards as I was taking this footage, and that's another thing. Just always be wary of your surroundings because, like I said, it was autumn, so therefore there's a lot of leaves, a lot of twigs on the ground. So just like I said, like this is a very like one of my favorite pieces of equipment I've ever used. Like usually if this thing's like actually calibrated right, then it'll actually be very steady. But right now, since I don't have a camera on there and it's very wobbly, but it's a joy to use. Like one of the big things about this rig is you need to just train yourself to use it. Like I'm still learning how to training myself to use this thing, and it is worth every penny. I mean, really, like the way I use it. Like if I'm shooting something with it, I do it the same way that Devin Graham uses it. Sort of like a lot of people sort of do it like that or to the side, like that. I like to go into the front here so I have more stability, and I have like my arm was quite tired at the end of the day because I shot nothing but like the wedding, nothing but with this thing right here. And I usually do that, you know. Right arm is like takes the blunt of it. Like my left hand over here basically kept things on point. It got a little bit like difficult at times just because of like how light my camera is. So to really combat that, I have a little piece of wood right here. This little piece of plywood also was, I don't know, some sort of trimming that I found at Home Depot. Like I got it so I can add a little bit of weight on top. So I put that on top of there, then I put the camera on top of it with that one little thing up there. I'll probably spray paint this thing at some point to make it a little more professional looking. But for the most part, it's actually not that bad. I actually have no complaints about it, but other than the fact that, you know, it's just like I need to really figure out some other stuff with it. But I had it on backwards, but that's okay. Like I said, the camera goes on top of there, it goes on top of here, then I just like lock it down in there. What's kind of neat about the Glidecam as well, like one of the big draws is that the boot on top here, it is removable, so you can actually put it on top of like another tripod, but I don't have like the right type of tripod for something like that. I might be able to, do something with that. I don't know. We'll see about that. I'll do some experimenting before this upcoming wedding I got, and see if I can actually find myself. Maybe I can actually find a head. I think they do offer the head for like the tripod that's actually compatible with the boot of the Glidecam, so I can actually maybe put it onto the tripod I have now. I'll get more into the tripods in just a second, but like I said, just a wonderful piece of equipment, and I can't wait to use it again. This thing's like a joy to use. Just like my biggest thing, make sure you calibrate it right. Yeah, that's a Glidecam. They always say, you know, have a secondary camera. I don't really have a secondary camera, but I do have this. This is just my little point and shoot camera. What type is it? No, this is also a Canon PowerShot SD 750. If you watch a lot of my earlier videos on YouTube here, like my vlogs and stuff, this is the camera I use. It was a very just inexpensive camera. I liked when I use this thing on a daily basis. I got this one just because like my father got it and like I really liked it, so I started using it and it hasn't let me down yet. It's just like, you know, it's just a small little point and shoot camera. If I maybe have like a low angle shot or anything like that, this thing can definitely get in there, no problems. I keep all my SD cards in there and stuff. I have a whole bunch of SD cards in here, actually, of various sizes. That's an 8 gig. What is that? I think that's like my old, like an old cell phone or something. 32 gig I have in here. I got another kind of big memory card I use for this camera that I'm shooting on, but I use a lot of the external memory on there anyway. But no, case does have like a little belt loop, so if I choose to put it on like a belt or anything, I have it at the ready. I always have like a secondary camera. When it comes to tripods, I don't really have too many options. Like I have the one I hear that's actually like a gift from my father. He was using it, then he just sort of gave it to me to use for like for the wedding that I shot back in October, and they just gave it to me in general. But this is the original tripod I use with my little point and shoot. Like I got this thing originally back I think in like my first or second year of college, one of the two. I think it was my I think it was my second year of college when I took a photography class. It's cheap. I got it maybe I'd probably got this at like maybe a BJ's or Sam's Club or something like that. But it's a piece of crap. Aluminum. It's not a good one. But if I just like I want to like maybe use it for like like when I'm at home and stuff. Maybe this will be pretty good. But it served its purpose for when I got it. But I don't know how many times I'm going to use it. But I got another one there. It says on the side here actually. It's a Pro line. That's about as much as I know about it. But I am able to convert it into a monopod, and it comes with different heads. Like I have it on like the swivel head right now. This one's has like the this right here, and also has like a level on the back there, so I can actually keep it. Okay. It's pretty nice. I just haven't really gotten a chance to explore it yet. But we'll see about that. That would be that. When it comes to like my tripods. I do have another rig that I use. I haven't really used this one a lot except for maybe shots around the house, just so I can get B-roll of stuff. But this is a fig rig. It's a self-made fig rig. I made this one actually using plans from the YouTube channel Cinefix. They don't really do too much like when it comes to like DIY rigs like this anymore. But that's okay. I mean, it's a very, like, it's sturdy. It's pretty much that. I have this little part right here that I put this right into there. As you can see, like, I didn't paint that part just so I can easily take it off and on when I need to. But I think I talked about this in a old video. If I think about it, I'll probably link in the description box below where I actually do describe it and I talk about it in a lot more detail. But one of the greatest things I know of is like the way I mount the camera here. Like it goes into like a little T-joint here, and I'm able to just like screw it in there. And I use like this little wing nut on the bottom here, and I just like get it up in there. So it's a nice little thing to use. Like I haven't really used it for a lot of productions though, but it's something good to have. Like it's pretty nice. One of the good things to have is this. A little flathead screwdriver. I don't really have any use for it around the house. Like it's part of like a tool set I have, but it's for what it's worth. Like for what I use it for. Like basically, if I'm screwing things in, like here's like to it, I just screwed up the camera in over here, and I'm able to do that. Or like to some boots actually have like some other like screw in things like that. People use coins, but I never have any like metal currency on me when I'm doing these things. Like I'm more likely to have this or my Swiss Army knife. I usually keep these on me, so they're nice to have. Or my trusty Gerber Bear Grylls knife. I don't know how many times this thing's saved me in a pinch, but it's good to have tools with you if really necessary. I know it's not duct tape. Well, you don't want duct tape if you have like wires and stuff, but you definitely want to get like maybe some gaffer tape. I don't have any gaffer tape yet. I've been meaning to get some, but it's always good to have some sort of tape. Electrical tape is actually one of my favorite things. I use it for a lot of things. To really transport a lot of my gear, I just use a standard backpack. This is just an old backpack of mine from, I think this is actually what I used back in either high school or college, one of the two, before I started using a messenger bag. And it's big, it's bulky, it's ugly. But you know what? It has a lot of space. I could keep a lot of things in here, so it's good to have. Got a lot of fuzz on there too. So like say, take my fig rig, stuff it in there. Well, I'm not going to really put like maybe the Glidecam in there because it actually came with a nice carrying case. But for the most part, I can carry all my gear in here. If I, and I also have my camera case as well that came with the camera. It was a nice little added bonus. Like it has deep pockets. Has like, well, I usually keep my secondary camera in that little spot right here. I keep like the big camera in here when I'm not using it. In like this little mesh area in the front here, I usually keep that in there. It's it's just overall just convenient. I have other things I could be using for productions. Like I have some like new lighting in here, but I'm not going to really use it if I'm in the field. Like if I do set up for like maybe an interview or something, I will probably use them because they give me so much more light. And as you can see, like it looks a lot better in here. Like even on the viewfinder on my camera right now that I'm looking at, makes it look a lot better as well. It just means I have to really be cautious of my white balancing because you don't want anything looking in a blue hue because that's going to make things look very, very bad. But now, because I actually have this, I can properly do other things too. But more on that when I actually get there. But some other tips I do have when it comes to like freelancing and stuff is basically get to know your client. Like one of the big things, like when I did the wedding in October, was like I've known like my two friends, Jen and Jimmy, for like a good while now, and like even then I didn't really know what they really wanted in the video. So I basically had a lot of liberties when it came to it, but at the same time I wanted to make sure I gave them something worthwhile because I believe in quality over quantity, and like I just also believe that if I'm going to be doing a production, I'm going to do the best work I can probably do. Like that bleeds over into my work life as well because I don't half-ass anything. So I want just give them like the best product I can give, and that's one of the most important things. Like give your best, but if you can't, just make sure you can fake it. That I guess that's a way of like saying it, but at the same time, they always say like if you can't get like best video, always try to like compensate, use natural lighting when possible, that sort of thing. But if anything, like one of the big things that I've learned throughout doing stuff has been it's been one of the big things I've learned over the years of just doing my own videos and stuff like that have just been just shoot. I mean, if you don't have just practice. I mean, practice makes perfect. If you're using like the Glidecam, just like get those muscles trained because in the long run it's going to give you like the best video you can get. And I just I can't say anything more about this thing. I just love it. But that's that. And if you have any questions, definitely ask them down the comment section below. I mean, I will definitely get back to you as soon as I can. And that's that. So I'll give you an update of what's going to happen with the other wedding, and I'll give a full production journal about that. So thanks for watching, and keep watching. More coming. Boom.